Hey all, and welcome back to Bayonetta. Previously, we beat the ever-loving holy shit out of Temperantia, so let's continue on a hype note as we head into Route 666. Oh man, this is where the game kicked into overdrive for me, I think, and it was just non-stop thrills from here on out.
I mean, to be fair, I would say that Bayonetta is pretty much non-stop thrills throughout the entire game, but this is a particularly hype chapter.
Yes.
Largely because it shifts up the gameplay loop somewhat, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh my god, this game could go pretty much anywhere, and I love it.
I have to say, at this point I have completed Bayonetta.
Yes, I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, and I have to concede, it is a better game overall than Metal Gear Rising.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I adore Metal Gear Rising. We will cover it properly on the channel someday, Richie and myself. But I think as an action game, a character action game, Bayonetta has more depth to it. It's got a higher skill curve. I think.
Yes.
The reason I probably like Rising as much as I do is because it's very easy to get into. Whereas this,
definitely,
this does much like Bayonetta herself. She doesn't have time for your ineptitude. You have to prove yourself to her first.
Basically, yes. Bayonetta is one of those games that don't take no fools.
Oh, yes.
Thankfully, for anybody who wanted to get into Bayonetta, the sequel is much kinder, but it still has a sort of similar level of depth to the combat, so it's pretty okay, and yeah, this chapter is just so much fun.
And just like a giant hair crab or cab comes out of the road and whatnot.
No, we're not quite going there, but Bayonetta was going to prove just how fast she can run in heels.
Oh, this is adorable. Well, that's my cue. Whee!
So yeah, she must be running at like 70 miles an hour, because that's how fast you'd be going down a road like this.
I think you may have spoiled the illusion of Bayo for me, because ever since I learned it was mocap, I just picture people doing these exact actions.
I mean, some of it will have been hand animated, but...
Yeah, let's see if you can guess which bit was hand animated. Was it the bit where a person turned into a panther by any chance?
Most likely, yes.
Ah, beautifully choreographed.
That's just Bayonetta in a nutshell. Everything is beautifully choreographed.
Uh-huh. Not really feeling the fact that Cerez's not wearing a seatbelt. What the fuck is his name? It's been a week, I've forgotten.
Luca.
Luca, you should be more responsible, you shit. I very nearly called you Enzo, and that's never a good thing.
I mean, you could have called him Cheshire, and that would have been absolutely fine, because, I mean, that is his nickname after all.
Driving is on par with your journalism.
Oh shit, she just called him fake news.
She also called him a bad driver, and that's always fun. I have to say, I have really bad road rage.
Really? I can't imagine,
insane.
Honestly.
Yeah, trust me, the second they get behind a wheel and people start driving stupidly, just all manner of expletives come out. It's just like, you fucking bastard, why the hell did you do that?
Oh, well, I mean, if you are, encased in a metal cage that could possibly blow up and kill you at any given moment, you'd get a bit miffed if you're on the road and people start giving you jip.
Well, exactly, it's just like, why can you not park properly? Why are you taking up the road when you have no need to? Like this morning, got out me drive, going down the road, bloody scrap metal van stopped in the middle of the road, chatting to some blooming woman on the side of the road who was taking her kid to school. It's just like, mate, seriously, what are you doing?
How about you park, first and foremost, get out, and then start chit-chatting? I can get any old line upside your fucking head.
Anyway, on a lighter note...
Yes, the angels of heaven have come to kill.
And we get one of a few really awesome climax mixes of old Sega songs. This particular one is Splash Wave, which I can't remember what the hell it's from.
I was just about to ask, is that from Echo or something? I'd be surprised.
I think it might be Afterburner. No, it's Outrun. Of course it's Outrun. Because this is basically the Outrun section of the game.
Don't worry, the proper stuff comes in a minute.
But I have to say, I've always struggled with this particular verse in terms of getting a decent ranking on it. I don't know what it is. I think it's because you've got to be really careful about how you move around this area, because the second you touch the tarmac, that's immediately health lost.
Yeah.
And that's not fun, especially when you're trying to land carefully on these moving vehicles. It's just not pleasant.
I had a bit of trouble with it, to be honest, but I see you're using Crow Within quite effectively in this bit, which is something... I never bought Crow Within, but then again, if I failed in a platforming section, I just took the L and took the hit.
Yeah, whereas you see, I can't do that, because obviously I'm trying to get platinums, and that gave me a near heart attack. I did have to replay the start of this chapter numerous times, because, yeah, it just did not go well.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I died in the upcoming section at the most least hype moment possible.
Oh, don't worry. When recording, I did exactly that as well. So it's easily done in this chapter.
So you were only let down by your combo score there, otherwise you would have got platinum.
Yes, and mostly I was just going, gold's okay. I can live with gold as long as I do well on the next few verses.
Look at this exemplary gun carter against the Joys.
I know, I'm doing the nice little trick of off-screening them to just get the chaos in.
Nice.
Because this particular verse can be a bit of a nightmare, because you've got the cars constantly moving down the highway, and if you get hit by them, that's health loss, and that's a nightmare. It can work to your advantage, because I believe the cars can hit the Joys and take off a bit of health.
Nice.
But really, you're the one that's going to struggle the most for it, and because of the way the camera likes to position itself, often you'll be facing away from the cars, and that just means you're going to get hit. So the key trick is run onto the hard shoulder, the Joys will follow, and then you don't have to worry about the cars. So that's my hot tip for this particular verse.
Yeah, don't get run over. Rich's hot tip of the day.
And once you get to this bit, it's just like, oh, thank God it's alright.
I actually really enjoy, I think I mentioned this before, but fighting the Joys, because it's always just nice to fight an enemy who's on your same, like, height and skill level.
Oh, definitely. I think the Joys are probably one of my favourite enemies, because of that whole thing. They're basically your rival fight, but they're mooks, and it just works.
God, that platinum medal looks nice.
I know, it's always gorgeous.
Oh, here we go, lads.
Yep, we Angel Car now.
Oh, Jesus, it's Timeless River all over again. Oh my god, fucking, like, charging up with the middle finger, here we go.
Just time to go vroom, and then you're into a bloody outrun section, and it's glorious.
Oh my god, this bit was so hype. I think I actually knew about this beforehand, but it didn't click for me where I was in the game until I started driving.
I mean, it's just so much fun. It's a bit finicky, well, not finicky to control, but it's a bit faffy at times.
It's not as smooth as I would like. Like, the power slides don't really give you as much of, like, a solid drift as I would like. And also, I feel the section goes on a bit too long for its own good, and that initial explosion of hype kind of dissipates towards the end, but it's still a really fun section, and this remix is just, it's one of the best pieces I've heard in a game remix-wise.
Oh god, yeah, I mean, Afterburner Climax mix is just godly. And I mean, it's just that whole mixture of throwing in the guitars, throwing in those vocals. It's just so stylish and awesome.
I don't know if this was intentional, but it kind of took me back to the end of No More Heroes.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think that was necessarily the intention, but
yeah,
it works. So yeah, pretty much the trick with this entire section is push your control stick right forward and you'll go at top speed. That's pretty much what you want to be doing. Keep your hand firmly, well, your finger firmly on the fire button, and then dodge wherever possible. Because what you want to do is you want to make sure you are getting hits in on the enemies, you are not driving into the flaming lorries, that's always a bad thing, and just making sure that, you know, you don't fall off the road, which is very easy to do.
Yes, as I found out. Also, actually, wait, that was my second death. My first one was when I slammed directly into the path of an incoming car.
Yes, we're about to get to the section where that can happen. Because I skipped the first loop, but we're going to take the second loop because it's got a broken witch heart on it.
Nice.
So, yes, there are broken witch hearts in this level, which are quite mean, if you ask me. But they are pretty... well, one of them's pretty well signalled, because you can see it on the loop as you drive up to it. It's actually coming up now. But what you are not necessarily prepared for is that you're going to go onto the other side of the road.
Whee!
And if you run into a car on the other side of the road, that is instant death. And pure platinum.
Wonderful.
Get in there.
Just what a fun section. Like, nothing about the game would indicate to you, as a first-time player, that something like this would be coming up. And it's just more fun than it is a challenge, really.
Exactly, and I think following the fact that you had, obviously, Chapter 5, which was quite difficult, Chapter 6, which introduced some new things, and God knows what happened there, and then you've had a boss fight, it breaks up the flow a little bit with something different, and it means that suddenly your brain's going, well, if the game's going to do this, what the hell else is it going to put in front of me?
Oh yeah, and it's not done with its surprises yet, let me tell you what.
Exactly. And just in general, that's really awesome. A lot of people do criticise the length of this section and a section later on, which is very similar in that sense.
Yeah.
And it's totally fair that that is the case, because these sections do go on for quite a while, and pretty much everyone has said they do go on that little bit too long.
Yeah.
But part of me just looks at that and then just goes, it's kind of a Hideki Kamiya quirk, is that what he does is he sometimes ends up wanting to have different gameplay styles. He does just get a little bit ahead of himself and lets them run on longer than they perhaps should do.
Well, as long as it's fun and it controls decently, and it does, to a degree, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, so we've got the two sort of most difficult bits of the level out of the way now. The one challenge that you do tend to face with this particular verse is that if you're not going fast enough, then you won't necessarily always clear the braking bits of the road. And that can be a bit of a nightmare.
God, just look at all this going on right now. It's pure chaos, but you're still able to control it.
Exactly. I mean, really, this is what Sonic should be doing if he's deciding he wants to ride a motorcycle.
Well, you know, there is that upcoming racing game that we know fuck all about, so maybe,
Very true.
He'll ride a motorbike in there.
Well, no, clearly Shadow's the one riding the motorbikes. That's his thing.
I think he did in Racing Transformed. Feel free to correct me, viewers, if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure he did as well.
Are there any, like, secret references on the billboards and whatnot as we're passing?
Probably. I don't think I've actually looked at them intently enough to see whether that is the case. But I would suspect so, because, I mean, you've got an entire Outrun homage right here, so, seriously. And I remember that I think it's in the art book, or it might be in something else, like one of the blog posts or something, Kamiya-san said that he was really, really, really happy when they were told that they were able to use these pieces of classic Sega music.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I think it's Hiro-san. Just gonna double check that.
Oh, we're talking about a composer here.
Yes, so it's, the guy's name is Hiroshi Kawaguchi, but pretty much everyone knows him as Hiro-san, and he's the composer and keyboardist for a lot of those really classic Sega games, and actually he's among the oldest of the Sega Sound team members.
Oh.
And one of the few from the 1980s who's apparently still active today.
Not for you, Rider Kick!
So yeah, so he worked on the music of Space Harrier, Alex Kidd the Lost Stars, Outrun, Fantasy Zone, Afterburner, Afterburner 2, Turbo Outrun, Wave Runner, bit of Virtua Fighter. He's worked on Yakuza in some form, so yeah, he's pretty well up there.
Alright, now we've got a MIDI version of those really creepy things that try to accost a Razor.
Yes, so these are the Braves, doing their best Ginyu Force impression possible.
Yeah.
And effectively the way they work is like mini Beloveds, but what they can do is they can join together to create a full-on Beloved if you're not careful. Now, the challenge with this particular bit is that you're already in witch time.
Yeah.
So you can't witch time them, which can be annoying. But also you've got another classic Sega musical song here, because it's Magnificent Seven.
Ooh.
Which is... if I can find it...
He's looking.
Yeah, it just keeps coming up with the Magnificent Seven.
Oh, how
film.
dare they make a film before the fact to confuse us.
I know. So apparently, yeah, there's a retro game called Magnificent Seven, so it's from that.
I've never heard tell of that, so I won't blame you for getting stuck a little bit there. That was a very smooth chapter for you, mate.
I know, it went very well. It's because it took me numerous tries to get the sort of first bit down.
Oh.
And then I did suffer a few bad instances in the actual driving segments, but it's all okay. I got my platinum. I am happy.
Practice makes perfect. And now, like, the remix makes sense, like we've been hearing up until this point.
There's a whole 8-bit love throughout Bayonetta, and just to bring those 8-bit themes into full life is just glorious. And there is actually a way to hear the original versions of the songs in the levels. You have to sort of input a certain button combination, I think, in the cutscene as you go into it, and you can hear the original stuff.
It's like holding a certain button in Sonic Adventure to get a different board or whatever. That's great.
Exactly. It's just that attention to detail is why I love games by Hideki Kamiya.
Alright guys, see you next time for more Bayonetta.